Hi, and welcome back to Fabricmate Systems Tips and Techniques videos where we teach you how to put fabric on the walls and ceilings. Today's topic is going to be how to cut around obstacles. We get that asked oftentimes. Outlets, switches, can lighting, vents. There's all kinds of things on the walls and ceilings nowadays, and we're going to give you some tips and techniques. We're going to start on a little demo wall over here, and one of the first things we're going to show you is how to shim those items out. Whether you're doing 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or 1 inch, you need to shim those items out to that thickness. So first you'll be seeing a little demonstration of how to shim out sockets and light switches. A couple different ways that you can do that. One of them, the easiest way, is use the actual track that you are going to be putting up to hold the fabric on. You'll see on the demo wall over here that there's some kits already put up. We have an M kit made for single or duplex. So you'll see a socket going into that over there. Here again, we're using the regular frame, the track system, that has some pre-drilled holes in it. You can buy them from us at Fabricmate.com, or simply just shim out on the tab. So we're going to go ahead and put a socket in second after this. This is the light switch. You want to get those things that are on your wall shimmed out properly. Again, there's a couple methods. If you don't have the track, you can use plywood, anything that's 1/2 inch. Now you're going to see a socket going up. This is going to have one of our extension rings handy already to the right thickness. So you can get these again at Fabricmate.com. The key here is to make sure that the obstacles that are on your wall or ceiling are furred out to the same thickness as the fabric mounting frame. Here you're also going to see not a lot of these smart homes have USB ports, all kinds of different outlet options out there. Later we're going to be showing you how to get into thermostats, maybe vents as well, and can lighting. Recessed can lighting is a big one that comes up often. So here you're going to see a USB port. Again, this is just shimmed out using regular track, the thickness of the mounting frame that you're using. So there you go. Simple and easy, a way to shim those out. Again, if you don't have these items, you can use plywood, MDF, anything that's going to be rigid to shim that out if you don't want the padded look and feel. So now what we're going to do on this side, you'll also notice the can lighting up there. If you want to shim it out, you might want to use several pieces of track. If you're going to use soft goods, we'll just simulate this a little bit. You just hold them up on there in this pattern. Again, it doesn't have to be this. You can staple them off, even glue. It's just something to give you a rigid backing to hold that fabric or that sconce or something up there firm to the right thickness. So there you have it, folks. That's how to shim out some of your standard items on the left side. On the right side, you'll see a vent hole cut out, a thermostat cut out, and we'll be going into those in either this segment or another segment. We're breaking these up a little bit so that we can be concise. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you, now that you've had the items shimmed out, we're going to go ahead and show you how you cut the backing. So the Fabricmate ReCore product is a rigid insulation. We're going to use that for this demonstration here. You may have a different insulation, say a poly batting, an insulation. There's a wide range of backings out there for different applications. So we're going to show you here a couple of ways to do it. Is preferred method is usually taking the top left-hand corner of your outlet box, and you're going to take a measurement here. If it could be 6 inches, 6 1/4, 24 inches, whatever it is, you're going to take a measurement from the left side, and you're also going to take a measurement from the bottom. Okay, it's wise to, if you have a lot of these, to write them down on a piece of paper. So get yourself some sort of a schematic or a little plan of where you're going to make your cuts. Then go over to your core and duplicate that. Repeat that. Put your mark on there, whether it's 6 inches from the left, so many inches up from the bottom, and give you a reference point of where to make that cut. Some people prefer to make 2 different measurements, so you're actually measuring the width of the box and the height of the box. That's fine too. Or you can use a jig or a little fixture. Makes it a little bit quicker if you have multiple outlets or you're on a large job site. You can also use one of our outlet covers that would work, or cut a piece of plywood or something that would match that size, and you can use that to draw your line. So there's a couple different ways to do it out there. Again, measure from the left over, measure from the bottom up, depends on where your outlet or where your fixture is. Definitely what you want to do though is sample some out. Don't make a bunch of cuts on a bunch of pieces of insulation and find out that they're wrong. So take your time here. Make sure you have a nice sharp razor knife. Once you've got your measurements going on to that insulation and you're comfortable with them, again, we say sample here a lot. Go ahead and practice on a scrap piece. Better, as they say in the field, to measure twice, cut once is the rule of thumb, so you don't make a mistake. So while you're watching the demo here, again, there's multiple ways to make sure that you get these cuts done right. If you're using polybatten, which is soft core, you'll see that a little bit later, you can use regular scissors. There's multiple ways to mark and cut out there. If you have some creative ones, go ahead and do those your own way. We're just giving you some examples here, and as always, just keep testing it. So again, we've got a couple of them marked out. Another thing that's handy is your T-square. T-squares are going to be needed. You can use a T-square to confirm the levelness or to use your measurements when you have multiple cuts out there. Okay, so it's a very handy tool, or if you want to use it as a guide to make your cut. So here you're going to see a couple examples. Keep a sharp razor knife out there. You just want to cut these things out here, these little receptacle boxes. You might have a small speed square out there. That'll work fine too. Again, watch your fingers. Blades are sharp, so safety always. So again, you're going to see that the T-square is very handy here. You can line it up with the edge. It's going to make sure that you're level. We're also going to show you right after this, after these are cut out, the T-square is what's going to be used to make many of your cuts on rigid core to cut your panel size to fit within the fabric mounting frame. So sometimes these need another little, you can pop them right out. Other times you need to go back and get the corners a little bit just to make sure that they're out of there. Again, break-off knives are recommended. We sell those as well on the website. They're recommended to keep a sharp knife. They will dull out after multiple cuts. Again, soft goods, you're going to be able to use the scissors. We'll show you that a little bit later or in another segment. So you can see here, these are popping right out of there. This is going to be the panel behind you, which is the switch and the outlet. This is, again, is just for representation. We do have a lot of these things already pre-cut for this panel board behind you, just for the sake of saving time. So again, there it is, cutting out the outlet switches out of a piece of ReCore. One other thing that you might need to do from time to time, if you switch to screws, you might need to do what we call filleting the core. This is a process where you're taking out and removing a little bit of the back of the core where it sits on the mounting frame where you may have had to use screws or something else that's protruding. So we're just going to give you a quick little demo on that on an edge. When we mean filleting, what we're doing is we're just cutting into it about a 1/16 of an inch, and you're cutting into this core ever so slightly, and then you're coming from the side, and this is why we call it filleting, kind of like if you were filleting a fish for those fishermen out there. And you can see this pulls up nicely. You'll peel a layer away, and this will allow for the accommodation of screw heads or maybe staples that didn't go in. So there's a nice example there. You're going to see another one here. Just take an eyeball it along the way there. Go ahead and go in. Don't go too far. You're only going in about 1/8 of an inch, coming back and just starting it. And a nice little filleting there or stripping of the backing. In some smaller panels, you might do that all the way around. And what that does is it gives you a little bit of relief there over the flange. So we're going to see this panel going in now. These were pre-cut. If you have to, you might need from time to time to take the razor knife and trim something a little bit back for the tabs that are on here. Again, try to keep your core as close as possible. You'll see again 2 different methods here. This is being trimmed off a little. One is on the right using our shims that are pre-done, the blue one there that's going to shim it out. The other one is using actual fabric mounting frame. So the screws will just be here to hold on to the demo wall. Normally, again, as you've seen in other segments, you would be stapling this off. Drywall screws are fine as well if you want to do it on a smaller scale. So now you'll see you'll see the next layer going up. Up above you have a USB port. You might have other comm gear. So again, this was pre-cut. You get the picture here. You just want to make sure that it's fitting in if you need to make any kind of cuts on there. Sometimes these are put in after the fact. So you'll have the core in there already, and then you'll come back and you will put in the socket in there. It really just depends on whether you're an electrician or yourself. You've already have those in. We'll show you on the other panel here in a moment with the sockets out of there and putting the core on first and then putting the socket or the switch or what have you on afterwards. So now you're getting up to the can light. The can light, often we get asked, well, how do you cut this hole or what do you do? We have a couple of tricks. One of them is a crayon, a simple crayon we've found. You take that crayon and you go up on a can light or anything round, and you can take the front of it there and just put a little bit liberally on there of this is a red crayon. And you'll see in a moment, we're going to use this here. This is going to transpose a mark onto your core. So you take up your core that's already been cut and position it kind of close to where you would have it, and go ahead and hit it a little bit and move it around. Sometimes we wiggle it a little bit just to give it that little tack on the back. Okay, and you can see hopefully on the camera there, it'll leave a nice indentation or a red mark. Sometimes you need to put a little bit more on there, but I can see it clearly from here. So there you go. You have a perfect circle. So we'll go ahead and cut that circle. Just give you an idea how that gets cut on the table here. just take your time and take your sharp razor knife again and go around and cut it. Again, if this was a soft core or polycore or soft touch line, you'll be able to use that with just a pair of scissors or a razor knife right on the wall. So you would go ahead and staple your soft goods up around this and go ahead and come back with a razor knife or scissors and cut it out while it is on the wall. Being more rigid goods, you're going to do these typically on a tabletop, workbench, or on the floor. Make sure as well that you have another piece of something behind it. Here you have a piece of a black ReCore under it, something so that you're not cutting through your carpet or something else. So there you go, a nice round hole that should go perfectly over the can lighting. So we'll go ahead and take the top piece now that we have it cut, and show you how that goes over. Being rigid now, this is going to give you the rigidity behind that sconce that's going to go on there so that you don't have to shim it out. If this was going to be soft goods, I think you saw earlier with us shimming it, you could put a piece of wood behind it, something else if you wanted that sconce to be flush and you wanted that to be flush with the framework. Another option, again, if you're using soft goods, is to just go ahead and put the soft goods in, don't shim it out at all, and then you're going to get that nice padded look and feel there. Now we have the products shimmed out, your sockets, your outlets. We have the ReCore cut, your backing cut. Sockets are in. Now it's time to apply the fabric. Okay, so now you're going to see a piece of fabric going on. Now we've got the core cut. We've showed you how to shim it out, make the cuts in the core. Now we're going to do the process you've seen on other segments, which is tack, seat the fabric on. So you'll watch that here. And again, once it's getting tacked on the framework, this could be a smaller panel, vertical, or it could be a large horizontal band down a home theater or hallway or what have you, bedroom, church, restaurant. So here again, you'll see the same process. It's been duplicated in many other segments where you're going to have the tacked on using either the rocker or the roller. You'll see different specialty tools used in different segments. Here you're seeing the DIY roller. Again, we always recommend going from the middle of the panel out down towards the corners. This way any fabric that's going to tend to walk on you, you're going to be able to get that puckering out in the corners. So again, go from the middle out. These are small panels. If you need to get a ladder, that's fine too. You want to make sure body position is important when you're doing a lot of these. If you're up high at the ceiling, make sure you get yourself up there. Don't try to stretch too far. That's when you're going to tend to make a mistake. You can't see your work in front of you. So again, here you're going to get the fabric seated. And the purpose of this segment again is how to cut. You saw earlier how to cut the core, how to shim the outlets out, sockets out, how to go around a can light, which is real popular, the can lighting in the ceiling. So what we're going to do now is just make sure that it's seated in there. And you can see a little bit, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of fabric still sticking out. We call that the insurance flange. That's there to be able to move that panel around if you make a mistake. So you grab those scissors and you cut into it and you make a mistake. So here you're going to witness the little switch getting cut out. These are small scissors. You might not have those. Just keep your scissors sharp. There's a number of different ones out there. Keep them sharp. And what you're doing on the switches here is you're cutting just above the holes for the plate. So the hole on the top there appeared. So you're cutting down. You want to cut minimal amount away from your fabric when you're going around switches or sockets. And again, this is the area that you may tend to make a mistake on, and you don't want to have done an hour putting up a panel on a 30-foot wall and make a little mistake around here and not be able to move the fabric. It's why we recommend leaving that 1.5 inches, 2 inches or more of fabric out and do all of your harder areas first. So here you're going to see him trimming around the socket. Again, same thing. Take your time and just kind of push in. Make sure you know where the socket is. It's also recommended if these are live sockets, turn that breaker off. You don't want to get those scissors or something poking into that hot socket there, and that just could ruin your day a little bit. So, or liven your day. Depends on how you want to look at it. So here again, take your time. You see the socket protruding there nicely, and the hole that the plate is going to need for the plate screw. So take your time at these areas, and everything else will go fine and easy after this. So again, now you have one light switch cut out. You have a socket cut out. Here you're going to see the USB port that was in there. Take your time, because sometimes it can be deceiving. You think you're feeling that and you're actually feeling something else. So you want to start from the middle over the top of your fixture, whatever it is, and work out. You can't add fabric back. What you'll be doing there is going out and buying an oversized plate, and that's not something you want to do. Or you're going to be changing the fabric panel. So again, take your time around cutting out outlets, switches. This is a USB port. Right after this, you're going to see the can lighting. This question gets asked a lot from us. How do you cut around the can lighting? So again, as we saw earlier in the video, shim it out. If it's soft goods and you want a padded look, you don't need to shim it. You'll have a nice pushed in look once you put that sconce on with the springs there. So take your time again. All you're looking for is the cut around from the fixture and where the socket or the plate will go on, the screws for the plate. So there you have that cut out. Now we're going to go ahead and cut out for the can lighting. Again, put your hand over the area. Make sure you feel comfortable. We like to always start in the middle. Again, making sure you're in the middle of that, and then you can run out to the side there. Cut a couple of relief cuts. Make sure you can look in there and make sure that you're truly in the middle of that can lighting. All you're trying to do here is just get enough fabric out of the way so that that sconce, that fixture that goes in there in the sconce, can fit in, but yet you have excess. Some people trim this off completely. Some leave a little flap. I prefer to say just trim it off, just leaving yourself. Again, you can always take away, you can't add, so take your time here. Some people want to use sometimes a razor knife. If that's all you have, you can take your time with a razor blade and go around there. I prefer the scissors. As you can see here, the can lighting back part is opening up there. So there you have it. Nice clean hole there. So you can take your fixture typically and just go ahead and slide that in there and you can check it. And you'll see most of these have springs, and you can see that that sconce, get nice and clean there. That sconce covers it up nicely. And again, this is done vertically on a wall. You would obviously be doing this on a ceiling, but the same process. Cut the core as the way you saw earlier. Go ahead and cut the fabric, and you have a nice clean ring around there for your T-bar if you have a can lighting in the ceiling there. So now you can either finish off the panel itself and then go back and do the plates, or here we'll just show putting the plates on. We're not going to take the time to roll the fabric in. You've seen that in other segments. Again, just go ahead and follow this. You're going to put your plates back on, and you can see nice clean look here. You've got your USB port finished, your can lighting up top. Again, keep in mind this is on a demo panel. You're going to have these things spread out throughout the wall or the ceiling. So do take your time. And why we recommend always sample it out, do certain panels of the room first where you finish it complete. Both the framework, the backing, the fabric. Get to deal with these obstacles so you understand if there's anything that you have to adjust for before you go ahead and do something across the whole room. So plan your work out accordingly, and you can see there's a nice clean finish here. You would reverse this process. People ask, well, I want to change the fabric. Well, just simply reverse the process that you saw here. Take the plates off, peel the fabric off, put a new piece of fabric on in no time at all, cut it the way you saw, and put your plates back on. So there you have it. Another segment here, how to cut core around obstacles, how to cut fabric, how to shim them out. So there was a lot of action-packed tips in here. Now you're going to see a little bit quickly of just finishing off the bottom. And on that note, we're going to leave it with him finishing here because you've seen this before, and that was the segment. We thank you for joining us. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. And as always, we appreciate you spending the time with us. Any comments, leave them below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.